Commander Elia's ward stepped out of the landing shuttle with a heart full of nervous courage. The bright twin suns have shined above him, casting long shadows over the crystal towers and glowing rivers of the alien world. He had trained for diplomacy, for speeches, for formal gestures, but nothing had prepared him for meeting the legendary ruler of this world. Even so, his spirit remained steady. He believed in kindness first, fear later. Maybe that was foolish. Maybe that was brave. But it was who he was. Around him, the rest of the human delegation moved with stiff steps, whispering warnings and reminders. "Do not offend her," one muttered. "Do not touch her," another added quietly. Elias heard them, but his thoughts drifted toward something else: gratitude. The Avarian Empire had sent food shipments to starving human colonies just months ago, preventing a disaster. Elias felt he owed them more than a simple bow or a cold handshake. He wanted to show warm, human appreciation. A gesture that came from the heart. Then the palace gates opened. Queen walked forward with a grace that silenced the entire courtyard. She was taller than any human by at least 2 heads, her body covered in golden scales that shimmered like molten metal. 4 arms rested elegantly at her sides. Her eyes glowed with red warmth and power. Her presence alone carried the weight of 1,000 years of ruling. Every alien in the courtyard bowed deeply. Every human followed. Except Elias, he froze in awe. His breath caught as the queen stopped in front of him, her piercing gaze studying him like a puzzle. The air around them thickened with tension. Her presence felt overwhelming, but Elias sensed something more: loneliness behind her regal expression. A ruler who carried too much. A leader who had never been shown sincerity from outsiders. Elias swallowed hard, stepped forward, and did something unthinkable. He hugged her. Not a small, nervous pat. A full, warm, grateful hug, the kind humans gave to the people they truly respected. The courtyard went silent. The Avarian guards pointed their spears. Some moved as if ready to strike. The human officials gasped in horror. Even the wind seemed to stop. Elias could feel the golden scales under his arms trembling with shock, but he didn't hold her tightly. He let the embrace speak gently, like a soft whisper. "Thank you for helping my people." The queen did not move, not for a second. Her 4 arms remained stiff at her sides. Her body felt cold with surprise, and beneath it a flicker of something he couldn't understand: fear, pain, confusion. When he finally released her, the queen stepped back with slow, controlled movements. Her expression wasn't anger, not yet. It was disbelief. Her red eyes widened, then narrowed with a sharp edge. "Human," she said, her voice echoing through the courtyard, "what have you done?" Elias immediately bowed, realizing what he may have just triggered. His heart hammered painfully inside his chest. "Your Majesty," he said quickly, "I only meant to show gratitude. Humans greet friends warmly." "Friends," she cut him off sharply. The word hung in the air like a blade. Avarian warriors hissed in outrage. Murmurs spread like wildfire. He challenged her honor. He touched the queen. He declared dominance. He insulted her in public. Elias felt the weight of those words crush him. He had come with the intentions, and instead he had created a storm. His stomach twisted with dread. His mission, the treaty, the fragile bond between their species, everything was at risk. Queen raised one hand to silence the crowd. Her gaze locked onto Elias, and her voice grew colder, sharper, wrapped in ancient authority. "To touch an Avarian queen without permission is a grave insult," she said slowly. "But to embrace her, that is a gesture of power, a declaration of superiority." She took one step closer, her towering presence swallowing him whole. "Human, have you come to show kindness or to mock me?" Elias' breath trembled. He wanted to explain, to apologize, to fix everything. But suddenly he could not find the right words. His throat tightened as the cruel reality hit him. His warm, human gesture had just shattered the delicate peace. The queen's eyes softened for only a heartbeat, as if she sensed the honesty in his fear. But then her mask of royalty returned, unbreaking and cold. "You will answer for this," she whispered. And just like that, the fate of 2 worlds changed. The moment Queen declared that Elias would answer for this, the entire palace seemed to inhale at once. The Avarian court, standing across the polished crystal floor, erupted into angry whispers. Their golden-scaled bodies leaned forward with sharp hostility, and their forked tongues flickered with fury. Elias felt dozens of eyes pierce into him like daggers. He had never felt so small in his life. Two Avarian guards stepped toward him, their armor clinking like metal teeth. Elias raised his hands slowly, not wanting to provoke them further. He knew he had made a mistake, a terrible one, but the punishment he was about to face frightened him more than he could admit. Queen turned her back on him and walked toward her throne. Her long cape flowed behind her like a river of gold. She climbed the steps and sat down, her four arms resting regally around her. Her expression was calm, but her eyes were stormy. A booming voice broke the silence. "Queen, the human has insulted your sacred body. His fate must be decided now." It was General, a towering Avarian warrior with dark, jagged scales. He slammed the end of his spear on the ground, making the floor vibrate. The warriors behind him growled in agreement. Another voice joined him. "He performed an embrace of dominance. He must be punished to protect your honor." Elia's stomach twisted painfully. Every word felt like a stone dropping inside him. He wanted to explain again, to beg for forgiveness, but he sensed that speaking without permission might make things even worse. The queen finally raised her hand, and the roaring voices stopped instantly. "Bring him forward," she ordered. Elias walked, escorted by the two guards, until he stood at the base of her throne. His heart pounded loudly in his ears. He tried to breathe, but the air felt too heavy. He wished he could go back in time and stop himself from hugging her. What had he been thinking? A hug to a queen of a warrior race. Queen studied him silently. Her gaze had softened a little compared to earlier, but there was still an unspoken anger there. Her voice was calm, but it carried sharpness. "Human," she said, "tell my court why you touched me." Elias looked up, forcing himself to speak clearly. "Your Majesty, I didn't know your customs. On Earth, we hug people we respect deeply. Your people helped my colony during the famine. I was grateful. I meant no insult." The court muttered angrily, but the queen held up her hand again. General stepped forward. "Intent does not erase offense. This human still broke sacred protocol. He must answer through the trial of intent. Only then will your honor be cleared." Elias felt cold dread spread across his body. The name itself sounded terrifying. "What is the trial of intent?" he asked, voice shaking despite trying to stay strong. General smirked cruelly. "It is a test, a judgment. If your heart is honest, you will survive. If not, you will not leave this palace alive." Elias' blood froze. But the queen looked at sharply. "Enough. He will not be harmed without reason." Then she looked back at Elias, her red eyes glowing softly. "The trial of intent seeks truth," she said. "You will be questioned by our ancestral flame. It will know if you lie. If your embrace was meant as dominance, it will burn you." Elias felt his knees weaken for a moment. He took a deep breath and steadied himself. "I will do it," he said quietly. A ripple of surprise passed through the court. "You accept so easily?" the queen asked, tilting her head slightly. "I would rather face truth than let your people think humans came here with arrogance," Elias said. "If this trial clears my mistake, then I'll face it, even if I'm afraid." Her eyes flickered with something, respect, curiosity, he wasn't sure. General hissed, "Let the trial begin instantly." But Queen raised her hand once more. "No, the human will rest until sunset. The trial of intent begins at nightfall." Elias blinked in shock. The queen was giving him time, a small mercy. Maybe she wasn't as furious as she pretended. Two guards motioned for him to follow. As they escorted him out of the throne room, he looked back at the queen one more time. She was staring at him, not with hate, but with a strange, complicated expression he couldn't understand. Maybe, just maybe, she didn't want to hurt him. But the court certainly did. And when the doors closed behind him, Elias whispered to himself, "I only came to thank her." How did everything go so wrong? Elias sat alone in a quiet crystal chamber, his hands resting on his knees as he tried to calm his racing thoughts. The walls glowed with a soft blue light, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. The room was beautiful, peaceful even, but Elias felt none of that calm. His chest felt tight, his stomach twisted. He kept replaying the moment he hugged the queen, wondering how a simple gesture had turned into such a dangerous misunderstanding. He thought of the famine on the human colonies, the hunger, the fear, the desperation. He remembered the moment Avarian ships arrived with food and medicine. That hope had felt like a miracle. He had carried that gratitude with him all the way here. And now he was waiting for a trial that could end his life. A soft sound echoed from the doorway. Elias looked up to see a young Avarian servant enter. Her scales were a pale silver, and her eyes were gentle. "You must eat," she said quietly, placing a small tray of glowing fruits and warm bread in front of him. "I don't have much appetite," Elias admitted. "You will need strength for the trial of intent," she said. "It is not easy. Many Avarians fail it, and they are born to it." Elias felt a chill run down his spine. Does it really burn those who lie? The servant nodded. The ancestral flame sees what words cannot. It senses fear, anger, pride, dishonesty. If your heart is pure, it will leave you untouched. Elias tried to smile. "I hope it can tell I'm just an idiot who hugs too quickly." The servant blinked, then laughed softly. "Humans are strange." "Yeah," Elias sighed. "We definitely are." Hours passed slowly until finally the sunset bells echoed through the palace. The queen had said the trial would begin at nightfall. Elias stood, wiped his shaky hands on his pants, and took a deep breath. This was it. No turning back. 2 guards entered. "It is time," one said. As they escorted him through long, winding hallways, Elias felt a strange mix of fear and determination. He wasn't a warrior. He wasn't a hero, but he wasn't going to run. He made a mistake, yes, but he would face it honestly. When they reached the Hall of Ancestral Flame, the massive doors opened with a deep, echoing groan. Inside, hundreds of Avarians filled the circular chamber. The ceiling stretched high above them, covered in ancient carvings. At the center of the room stood a wide stone platform, and above it floated a swirling sphere of golden fire, alive, breathing, glowing as if it had its own soul. The air felt warmer, thicker. Elias swallowed hard. The queen stood beside the flame, her presence calm but powerful. Her golden scales reflected the fire's light, giving her an almost otherworldly glow. When her eyes met Elias, there was no anger, only seriousness. "Step forward, human," she commanded. Elias walked to the center of the platform. The flame pulsed brighter as he approached, almost like it sensed him. Queen raised her staff. "The trial of intent will now begin." The court fell silent. The flame rose higher, swirling slowly around Elias. A soft humming filled the chamber, vibrating in his bones. He felt heat brush against his skin, warm, not painful, but intense. A deep voice echoed, though no mouth spoke it. It was the voice of the flame itself. "Human, speak your truth." Elias felt his breath catch. His voice trembled at first, but he forced himself to speak clearly. "I came here with gratitude," he said. "Your people saved my colony. I wanted to show respect in the way I understood. I didn't know your customs. I never meant to insult your queen or your people." The flame circled him slowly. The heat increased. Sweat formed on his forehead. His heart hammered louder and louder. "Do you carry intentions of dominance?" the flame asked. "No," Elias whispered. "Never." "Do you carry deceit?" "No." "Do you carry pride over this queen?" Elias closed his eyes. "No, only respect." The flame stopped. The room held its breath. Then it dimmed. The heat faded. The sphere of fire shrank gently and floated back to its original place. Queen stepped forward, her eyes widening just slightly. "The flame accepts him." Gasps filled the hall. General snarled in disbelief. "Impossible, he insulted you. There must be some trick." But the queen raised her voice sharply. "The ancestral flame does not lie." Elias let out a breath he didn't know he was holding. His legs almost gave out from relief, but he stayed standing. The queen looked at him, and for the first time there was true softness in her gaze. "You spoke with a sincere heart, Elias Ward," she said quietly, "and the flame has seen it." But the court was far from satisfied. And the danger was far from over. Even after the ancestral flame accepted Elias, the tension in the hall did not disappear. The fire dimmed, returning to its calm golden glow, but the Avarian warriors still stood stiff and unhappy. Their eyes were fierce, their scales bristling with irritation. The flame had cleared him, yes, but for them, forgiveness was not so simple. Queen stood beside Elias, her face unreadable. She rested one hand on the edge of the stone platform, her golden fingers tapping lightly, as if thinking deeply. The flame's warm glow reflected on her scales, making her look both majestic and strangely vulnerable. General stepped forward, unable to accept the judgment. "Your Majesty," he growled, "the flame may have accepted his intent, but he still touched your sacred body. The insult remains." Elias felt a sharp sting in his heart. How many times would he be punished for one mistake? How long would this weight crush him? Queen turned her head toward the general, her expression stern. "The insult remains only if I choose to hold it," she said, "and I do not." The hall erupted into shocked whispers. A queen refusing anger was unusual, especially known for being strict, cold, and unbending. Clenched his jaw. "Your Majesty, with all due respect, the people may see this as weakness." Her gaze darkened. "Then they do not understand the difference between mercy and weakness." Elias watched her silently, surprised by her strength. She did not bend under pressure. She did not hide behind her title. She stood firm, but not out of pride, out of wisdom. Still, he sensed something deeper behind her calm, something heavy, something she never allowed herself to show. The queen lifted her chin. "The trial is complete, the human is cleared." But instead of celebrating, the hall's energy grew colder. Some bowed their heads respectfully, but most looked confused and unsettled. Elias stepped away from the platform, feeling the pressure of every pair of eyes. His legs were trembling, but he tried to stay strong. When he reached the queen's side, he spoke quietly, his voice barely above a whisper. "Your Majesty, I don't know how to thank you." "You need not thank me," she said without looking at him. "I simply chose truth over tradition." Her tone was firm, but Elias could sense the faint tremble beneath it. She was bothered. Deeply. The queen gestured to her guards and dismissed the court for the night. Warriors slowly filed out of the hall, though many shot suspicious looks at Elias as they left. General lingered the longest, glaring at the human with open hatred before finally exiting. Now the hall was quiet. The flame flickered lazily, almost as if sleeping. Elias stood awkwardly beside the queen, unsure whether he should stay or leave. Finally, the queen spoke softly, "Walk with me." Her voice no longer carried the commanding echo it held earlier. It was gentle, human-like. Elias followed her through a long corridor, past wide windows showing the twin moons rising over the mountains. The halls felt calmer here, away from the eyes of warriors and judges. The air smelled faintly of flowers and warm metal. They entered a private chamber, a balcony garden filled with glowing plants and soft violet light draping over everything like a warm blanket. Queen stepped forward and placed her hands on the railing, staring into the night. For a long moment, she said nothing. Elias didn't interrupt. He sensed she needed silence to gather words she rarely spoke. Finally, she breathed out slowly. "Do you know why your touch shocked me so deeply, human?" Elias shook his head. "No, but I want to understand." She kept her gaze on the horizon. "When I was young," she began, her voice soft but heavy, "I trusted someone I should not have, a foreign leader. He embraced me during a negotiation, much like you did." Elias' heart tightened. "But for my people," she continued, "touch from an outsider means they claim you as weaker. He used that moment, that gesture, to signal his army. They attacked us. My mother, the queen before me, she died because I trusted the wrong touch." Elias' breath caught in his throat. Suddenly everything made sense. The fear, the anger, the cold mask she showed the world. "I'm so sorry," Elias whispered. The queen closed her eyes. "Your hug brought back that memory, not because you meant harm, but because I felt that same shock, that same confusion." Elias stepped forward slowly. "If I had known, I never would touched you, I swear." She nodded. I know that now. The flame showed me your heart, and still the memory hurts. Silence settled between them like a soft blanket. The queen finally looked at him, her red eyes softer than he had ever seen. You are the first outsider I have forgiven, she admitted. Elias felt warmth spread through his chest, hope, gratitude, and something deeper he could not name. I won't break that trust, he said quietly. The queen turned back to the moons. I pray you won't, she whispered. Because trust, once broken, cuts deeper than any blade. But maybe this time, trust could be healed. The night breeze flowed gently across the balcony garden, carrying the scent of glowing flowers and soft moonlight. Queen remained standing at the railing, her 4 hands resting silently on the cold metal. Elias stood a few steps behind her, afraid to move, afraid to break the fragile peace between them. He could feel the weight of what she had shared still hanging in the air, raw, painful, and heavy like a wound she had never dared to open before. For a long moment, neither spoke. Finally exhaled slowly, her breath trembling the tiniest bit, a detail she would never allow anyone else to see. You must understand something, Elias, she said quietly. A queen cannot show weakness, not even for a heartbeat. My people depend on my strength. They trust my control. If I falter, they fear everything will fall apart. Elias nodded. I think I understand, at least a little. She looked over her shoulder at him. Yet tonight, I nearly lost control. Elias felt a pang of guilt, because of me. But not by choice, she corrected softly. You touched a memory I buried long ago. Elias stepped closer, careful not to stand too near. The moonlight lit half of her face, showing strength on one side and something fragile on the other. You don't have to carry all of it alone, he said. His voice was calm, sincere. Even queens deserve someone to trust. Her eyes softened, just a little. She turned to face him fully now, her tall figure glowing in silver and gold. Trust is not given easily among my people, she said. We test it, we protect it, we guard it fiercely. Elias met her gaze. And yet, you trusted me enough to listen. For a moment she said nothing. Her expression was unreadable. But then, something gentle flickered across her eyes. You are different from the others I have met, she admitted. Gentle yet brave, foolish yet honest. Elias chuckled softly. I'll take that as a compliment. She did not smile, but her eyes warmed slightly. They walked deeper into the garden, the glowing plants lighting their path. Strange, floating insects buzzed around them like drifting sparks. The air felt peaceful, far more peaceful than anything Elias had felt since arriving on this world. Elias, the queen said suddenly, may I ask something personal? Her tone made him straighten in surprise. Of course. You humans show affection easily, with touch, with words, with smiles. She looked at her hands as she walked. Does it not make you vulnerable? Elias thought for a moment. It does, but it also makes us stronger. How? She asked. Because when you open your heart, Elias said, others might hurt you, but they can also help you heal. The queen stopped walking. Her eyes widened slightly, as if the idea itself was strange, maybe even dangerous to her. We do not heal easily, she whispered. In my culture, strength means never showing wounds. But everyone has wounds, Elias said softly, even queens. She stared at him, longer than before, studying his face as if searching for something she had forgotten how to see. Her voice was barely above a whisper. And what if the wounds are too deep? Elias stepped closer, just one careful step. Then you share the burden. Even a queen doesn't have to hold an entire galaxy alone. A faint tremble touched her breath. For the first time, her regal mask slipped completely. I have been alone for a very long time, she confessed. Elias' heart tightened. This wasn't the mighty queen he had seen in the throne room. This was a woman who had carried pain for years, maybe decades, without ever letting it show. Then she looked toward the twin moons and continued, her voice softer than he had ever heard. When my mother died, the council warned me, do not feel too much or your enemies will use it against you. And so I closed my heart. I buried my grief. I became the queen they needed. Elias' voice was gentle. And tonight, you let yourself feel again. Turned to him with an expression of disbelief mixed with vulnerability. Yes, she whispered, because of you. His breath caught. The breeze rustled through the glowing leaves, making them shimmer like stars. Elias felt something shift between them, something invisible but powerful, delicate yet real. Slowly the queen raised her hand, not to command, not to judge, not to punish, just to reach out. Not to touch him, but to offer touch. Elias Ward, she said softly, you insulted me without meaning to, but in the same moment you reminded me that not all touch is harm. He swallowed hard, moved beyond words. She looked away for a moment, her voice trembling again. Teach me, she whispered. Teach me how your people show trust without fear. Elias felt warmth spread through his chest. I will, he said softly, if you'll let me. Queen lowered her hand slowly. I think, she said with quiet courage, I will. And for the first time, the alien queen allowed herself the smallest, softest smile. The hall grew quiet as Queen left the balcony and walked back inside. The guards watched them closely, unsure if they should still be angry or relieved. Could sense their tension, but he kept his eyes forward. He had already made one mistake with a hug that insulted the queen. Now he wanted every step he took to show respect. Queen walked beside him, but her face was unreadable. The glow on her skin shifted softly, like light passing through water. Wondered if she was thinking about the hug, or his apology, or the way the crowd cheered when she forgave him. He wanted to say something, but he feared breaking the fragile peace they had just rebuilt. Finally, as the two reached a quiet, empty corridor, the queen stopped, froze. For a moment, neither spoke. Only the low hum of the palace engines echoed through the metallic walls. Turned toward him, her voice calm but heavy. Human, do you understand what your actions caused today? He nodded slowly. I insulted you. I hurt your honor. I made your people doubt your strength. She looked at him for a long time, then whispered, yes, but something else also happened. Lifted his eyes. What? You made them feel hope. He blinked. Hope from a hug. The queen sighed, stepping a little closer. Her eyes softened in a way he had not seen before. My people are warriors. We do not show affection. We do not comfort. We survive. For many of them, today was the first time they saw warmth given freely. They saw something pure, something rare. Felt a strange ache in his chest. But it came from a mistake. Even mistakes can change hearts, said quietly. She then surprised him by asking, why did you hug me? Among humans, what does it mean? Struggled to explain. A hug is trust. It's a way to say, I don't want to fight, I want peace. It's something we do to remind someone they're not alone. A faint shimmer passed over her skin, almost like a blush. Humans are strange, she murmured. You face danger with softness. Chuckled gently. Sometimes softness wins more battles than strength. Looked away as if thinking deeply. After a moment, she walked forward again, gesturing for to follow. They entered a small chamber with tall windows showing the stars. It felt peaceful, almost sacred. This is the listening room, she explained. Here, the ruler reflects on the future of the empire. Stood silently, watching her walk to the center of the room. She closed her eyes, and the lights responded to her emotions. Soft blue waves glowed across the floor, calm, thoughtful, uncertain. I brought you here, she said, because there is a choice I must make. His heart tightened. What choice? She turned, looking directly at him. My council demands that I punish you to restore my honor. Even after forgiving you publicly, they want a final act to prove my control. His stomach dropped. Punish me how? Exile, she replied. You would be sent away from the capital, sent back to the humans. Our alliance would become cold again. Swallowed. And the other choice? The queen stepped closer, her eyes glowing faintly. Or, I keep you by my side. I tell the council that your actions taught the empire something valuable, that your presence brings understanding, that your mistake had purpose. Felt the weight of her words. And what do you want? The lights in the room dimmed as fell silent. Her voice softened to almost a whisper. I want to learn more about your peace, your warmth, the thing you call a hug. She looked away again as if embarrassed. But choosing this path will anger many. They will say their queen has grown weak. Stepped forward gently, making sure not to touch her this time. I don't think you're weak. I think you're brave for even considering it. Something broke inside her, not weakness but softness she had long buried. Her eyes trembled. No one has ever spoken to me like that. Breathed deeply. And no one ever will unless you let them. She looked into his eyes, searching for deception. She found none. Slowly, she nodded. Very well, human, I have made my choice. The air tightened around them, held his breath, waiting. Queen whispered, you will stay. And in that moment, the stars outside seemed to shine a little brighter.